Okay. Again, it is dermatology, but it is just to give you an example of how this works. I am sure that this must be a common issue. Hair loss. Okay. I think everybody suffers it from some stage. Now, suppose we brainstorm on hair loss. What comes to your mind? You can just give any 1 point or 2 points, words which come to your mind when you think of hair loss. Pardon? Age. Age, okay. Inheritance, okay. Nutrition. Nutrition. Stress. Pardon? Not a big deal, okay. Not for some people, okay. For people who have hair, there is no problem, okay. Okay, gender. Shampoo, okay. Environment, okay. Pardon? Genetic, I think we put it as, okay. So, genetic. Hair loss. Treatment, okay. Carcinoma, okay. Health problem. Radiation. Pardon? Drugs. Okay. Quacks. Okay. Yes, sir. Salt in the water. Yes. Weight. Weight. Okay. So salt and water. Salt and water. Weight. Anything else? First one or second one? Okay, marriage. Okay. So a lot of interesting things. Anything else? Female side? Feeling. No, I didn't get you. You mean feeling about the hair loss, is it? Okay. So feeling. You mean to say conscious about the hair loss? Okay. Pardon? Stress is there. Stress is there. UV light. Okay. Yeah, that's what. Consciousness about the hair. You feel conscious about the hair loss. Okay. Yeah. Itching. Okay. Okay, we'll take two more. New look. Okay. Infection. Okay. Somebody said lifestyle. Pregnancy. Hair dryer. Okay. Sir, can you just hold? Thank you. Yeah, if you can come here. So we have a lot of terms just coming up. This would be the divergent phase. So we are taking everything. We are not saying anything is wrong, anything is right. Okay. Now you need to structure it. You need to converge it. How do you think you can do that? So right now we just have a lot of random terms. The whole idea is we need to generate our learning objectives. Okay? So, yeah. Okay, perfect. So what Dr. Munna is saying is you can try organizing them into things which look similar. So one thing could be causes of hair loss. So which do you think will fit in with this? Quite a few of them. So you could have stress, gender, inheritance, environment, and you will find that some things are quite similar, so you can just join them together. For example, genetics, inheritance would be the same thing. Radiation, carcinoma would be related. UV light could be in the same section. So you will have one whole section which you can put down as the causes. Okay. So that's one thing. Any other area over here? Yeah. Risk factors. Okay. Again, you may have a bit of overlap, but what could be the risk factors over there? So again, you could have the age, you could have the gender, pregnancy, radiation. Okay, so those could be put under cause, risk factors. What else would you look for? The treatment part. Okay. Now, in general, when you talk of treatment, we talk about treatment for the condition and to address the psychological issues. Okay. So what could be in those aspects? The shampoo. Okay. Drugs. Pardon? No, I didn't get you. Stress. Relieving the stress. Okay. Stress relief. Thank you. Nutrition. Okay, so the food could be a part. Drugs have been mentioned. So we try to classify into causes, risk factors, treatment. Anything else which comes over here? Psychological factors. Okay. So quality of life, psychological concerns. Okay. What about itching? Somebody said itching. Could be diseases or could be even symptoms. Okay. So associated symptoms could be itching, scaling, whatever it is. Okay. So point is that we are trying to learn based on the trigger. So what we are trying to do is trying to identify what the causes are, what the risk factors are, what the possible treatment is, and you will find that after all this part and you've converged it, you still find a lot of things are not clear or not mentioned. Okay. Those things go into your formulating the learning objectives. So you'll find that things are missing out there, or even within these things, some things are not that clear. So what they do is, in the next, thank you sir, thank you so much. You get a pen too. Yeah, but he still held it up for a long time. You're talking about this one? Yeah.
We need to solve the problem.
Exactly. So what we said is that
At the end of the decision, everyone will have hair.
Inshallah, we'll keep the next session after 5 years. So what we said is that at this stage, you are reaching a point where some things are organized, some things are not clear. Those things are used to formulate your objectives, your learning objectives. So the students go back home, they prepare their respective topics. And for example, one student might go in detail about causes. The other student may go in detail about risk factors, one about treatment. The next session, they get together and they present the things which they researched on. Then the whole group discusses it again and tries to find that, okay, is it satisfactory? Have we solved the issue? Is everything clear? Okay. Yes.
I have a question over here.
Yeah.
To identify these missing pieces, you need domain knowledge.
Absolutely.
In the beginning, you said that most of the time the instructor or the facilitator is not from the same domain. So
Yeah, so two things. The question doctor asked is that to solve this, you need a bit of background knowledge. Okay, but we said that the session is led by the students, so how do you do that? So number one is that all the facilitators, they have a manual. The manual has two parts. One is the case itself. The second is the objectives, that at the end of this case, the students should be able to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 3 is a bit of the theoretical knowledge related to those points. So you can finish it off in 15 minutes. So that the tutor knows that this is what they need to know. It's very brief, it's very simple. And most people are able to handle that. Number 2 is that this is one part of the educational strategy. On the other side, they do have lectures. Okay. Like the week starts off with what we call a patient lecture and then something called theme lectures, in which the background knowledge necessary for this is covered along with it. So the students do have it. And number 3 is what we said, a lot of it is related to self-learning. So the students know the objectives, they know where to look for it, they're supposed to do it on their own. But there we have a problem because a lot of our students don't do that independently, especially in the first years. So that is an issue and we need time to work on that. But this is how it's managed. I hope it answers that. Okay, thank you. Now the next part, you will often find that the students get stuck. You have a topic where the background knowledge is a bit weak or the topic itself is a bit difficult. You will find that at a certain stage of the brainstorming, they don't know what to do. So they just look at each other, they look at you. Okay. And by principle, we said that the facilitator cannot teach. For example, if I am the facilitator in this case, I can easily tell you that this is the treatment, these are the risk factors, but I'm not allowed to do that. Okay. So what do you do? How do you manage that? So situation is that they're brainstorming, they are stuck in the brainstorming, and you cannot teach. So you wanted to proceed further? Yes, sir.
You said stimulate some ideas.
Good. So one is stimulating ideas. Any particular strategy you would like to do for that?
Just drive their whatever they're thinking.
Okay.
Keep some keywords.
Okay.
Those areas that, okay, why don't you guys think about these like that?
So one is you can use certain keywords for that. Okay. Yes.
Asking some questions.
Perfect. So the other option is to ask questions to direct them to that objectives. Anything else? Yes, sir.
Provide some suggestions,
Okay. Suggestions like?
like an examples, cases.
Okay. So you give some other examples similar to that and you try to help them. Okay. So what the mail side said is, number 1, you can give some keywords. Number 2, you can ask questions. And number 3 is give other examples related to the case. Anything else you would like to add? Yes. Peer discussion. Yeah, they are actually, the situation is that they are actually discussing, but they're getting stuck because the case is either too difficult or the prior knowledge is not that good. So at a point they don't know really what to do. So usually what happens is that they just look to the facilitator, and the facilitator should not teach it, the topic. I mean, he should not say that this is the theory behind it. So you need to direct them to the objective, but without teaching. So So you can suggest them sources to look for. Okay. Anything else? Okay. So, any idea who that is? Okay. So he looks like Socrates because all of them look similar. Okay. So, actually that is not Socrates, because it is said that Socrates was crazy. I mean, during his time nobody gave him too much credit, and he was actually given poison and he died due to poisoning. His work was actually publicized by his student, the most famous student, which is Plato. So that photo apparently was that of Plato. Okay. One of the most important methods which Socrates publicized was called Socratic questioning. And the idea of Socratic questioning is you ask questions to direct them to a certain point without telling the answer. Okay. You are assuming that the background knowledge is somewhere there in the brain, but it's not come out. So you're using questions to bring it out without actually telling them the answer. And this concept is called Socratic questioning. Okay, now anybody interested in photography? Nobody? Photography, we have one lady interested in photography. Anybody else? Dr. Mahesh? Okay. Anybody teaching physics over here? Physics? Nobody. Dr. Mahesh, can you? So you can try taking a photo.
Okay.
We'll see how it turns out. You can just use its settings, default settings, and you can just press this one. Okay. So this was the photo he took.
It's fantastic.
What is the problem with the photo? This is the photo which was taken. This. So the problem is that the photo is too dark. Okay? What could be the reason?
Like I tried to focus it here.
Okay.
It didn't work.
Right. So can anybody help him out? What could be the reason that the image is too dark?
Maybe there is something wrong with the camera.
Possible. But assuming there's nothing wrong with the camera. Okay, problem with the lens. Anything else? Pardon? Light. What is the word meaning of photography? Photo means what? Light. Graphy means to write. So photography literally means to write with light. The image is dark because the light entering the sensor is too less. Right? So how can you improve that? One option, yes. So can you try with the flash, sir?
Also the duration, the shutter duration,
Very good. What does the shutter duration do?
how long you are exposing the light to the
Okay.
5 minutes. Always.
So you're saying that the light depends on, one is the duration for which the shutter is open, right? So the more the time it opens, the more light gets in. Anything else? So what do you call that? You call it aperture. Okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
So now it's okay. So basically, there are two things which control the light mainly. You have the aperture, the size of the opening. The second is the shutter speed. Okay. You adjust both, the image gets better. Okay. Now the idea was, I tried to bring that out from you. You already know it. Okay. But when you ask directly the first time, you may not be able to answer it. By questioning, we try to bring that out. And this is essentially what is called Socratic questioning. Okay. Thank you, sir. You also get a pen. One more.
I will collect all and go.
You will collect the pen and you can go. Here you go. Thank you.
Thank you.
So this was essentially the concept of Socratic questioning. So often you know a lot of things, but it's not there for you to take it out. But if you question properly, it comes out. Okay. And that helps to stimulate active learning, critical thinking. And this is called Socratic questioning. Any questions so far?
We need to know more about Socrates.
More about?
Socrates.
About Socrates. We'll do that. If you have time, we'll discuss that in the end. Okay. And in fact, this was the original Socratic question. So it said that Socrates, he met a boy who did not know anything about mathematics. He drew 4 squares, okay? Each square has the same area, and the boy was asked to make a square in between, which is exactly half the area of the original square. Anybody wanting to try? One more pen. You can try. You understood, or? This is said to be the original Socratic question. So he said, sorry. So Socrates drew 4 squares, okay, equal size. He joined them together to form one big square. He asked a boy who had no idea of mathematics and had no measuring instruments to draw a square in the middle, which is exactly half the size of the original square. So how can you? So anybody volunteering?
We can draw it, or
You can just show it how you want to do it.
I'll make the line.
Yeah.
I'll make line like this. It's half and the half.
You are close, but where will you draw the line?
I can draw it.
Yeah.
It's half.
Perfect. Here you go. So this was the original Socratic question. And like we said, the point is that you are teaching by asking instead of telling it. And why it works is that it is said good learning starts with questions. So you can actually simulate critical thinking by asking questions without actually giving them the information. Okay. Now, Socratic questioning and brainstorming are not really two separate areas. They're mixed together. So in the middle of the brainstorming session, you might have to do a bit of Socratic questioning, go back to brainstorming, again come back to Socratic questioning. So it is not that there are strict separate compartments. They're actually joined together, and you can do it at any stage. Okay. So Socratic questioning, brainstorming. The difference is that Socratic questioning is led by the teacher, while brainstorming is led by the students. Okay. And there are different ways, different questions you can try for Socratic questioning. Questions that seek clarification, like can you explain what you're saying? Questions that probe reasons, like why do you think that? Questions that explore alternative views, like can you put it in another way? Questions that test implications, like what can we work out from what you say? So there are different types of questions you can use for Socratic questioning. Again, unless you understand the case, yes sir.
Actually, for the questions, it should be open-ended, or it should not be only yes or no like answer.
Absolutely.
It should have some explanation by the student. So
Because-
the frame should be such.
Because if you ask yes or no questions, the students will just guess. And that does not really mean that they know the answer. Okay, so ideally it should be open-ended questions, not yes and no type of questions. Sorry. So it is very important that you prepare the case well, because unless you prepare it well, you will not be able to ask the right questions. So you need to be really familiar with the case. You need to give time to think. So if you're just running through the questions, it will not really help. So once you ask the questions, give some time, let them think, respond, and then you go over to the next stage. Okay. So give time. It is a good idea to direct to the whole group instead of 1 or 2 students, so that anybody in the group can answer. Okay. And like Dr. Gosai said correctly, it is best to avoid yes or no answers, because usually what happens is that they guess. They say yes or no, it doesn't really help with the learning. So keep it open-ended, avoid yes or no answers. Okay, this we will see if we have time. We'll go to this first. Okay, another exercise. So imagine that you are conducting small group sessions and you find that there is one student in your group who is not doing that well. In spite of repeatedly trying, he keeps submitting poor quality assignments. He's not performing that well. What do you do for such a student? Yes, sir. Okay, so if it is related to the group issue, you can try changing the group. Yes. Anything else?
Another one is that you give private session with him to motivate.
Okay, so you can call him.
Maybe his basic knowledge was not that good, or maybe he thinks that he's in an inferior complex, that he is not belong to this group at this level. Maybe something.
So maybe you can call him to the office, maybe try to understand what the problem is, then try to solve it. Okay. Anything else?
Give him more attention during lecture.
Give him more attention during the session. Okay. Anything else? So issue is that there is some student who has a problem. You want that particular student to improve. You have to understand the problem. Yes. And then what? So what do you call that process? You're giving, telling. So this is what is called feedback. Okay. So you need to give proper feedback to ensure that the student overcomes what is missing and improves. Okay. So the other key skill which we need to develop is called feedback. I am sure that anybody who's married would have had this experience. Your wife makes a lot of food, puts it in front of you, and the feedback from the husband is you make bad food. Does it improve the cooking? No, obviously you'll be lucky if you get food the next time. Okay, but but definitely there's not going to be any improvement. Okay, the whole idea of feedback is improvement. So you're trying to improve the person, and this type of feedback will not lead to improvement. Two examples. After a match, the coach tells to the students, you guys don't know to play football. That's one feedback. The second coach says, you tried well, but the quality of your passing needs to be improved, and I'm sure you will do better next time. Which is better feedback? Obviously the second. Why is it better?
It's not frustrated.
It's more, yes sir. It's more positive. Positive, it's constructive, it's encouraging. Okay? Yes. Yes.
The first one maybe is showing you again don't take the ball. But the second one will you advise you know what is the problem with it and how to solve it.
So the first one looks very negative, and you will not feel like improving based on that. The second is more encouraging, more constructive. So what is feedback? It is communication to one person regarding how he or she is perceived by others. And what is the purpose of feedback? It is to reinforce good behavior. So if somebody is doing something good, you keep doing it better. Or to correct negative behavior. So if somebody is not doing something properly, you try to correct that behavior. Okay. Feedback is essential for improvement. Okay. So if you want any student to improve, you need to give proper feedback. And there are certain characteristics of what we call good feedback. The most important being that the person receiving the feedback should feel safe. The environment should be safe, not like this. Okay. In a traditional curriculum, we always used to do this. We used to tell the student that bad, improve or else finished. Okay. You need to make sure that the students are really safe, feeling safe and not threatened. Only then feedback works. So safety, not threatening.
Threat also brings sometimes the best out of you.
Pardon?
Sometimes threats also work.
Sometimes, yes.
They bring the best out of you.
True. It depends a lot on the person also, but in general, probably you need to keep a safe environment. I'm sure you must be familiar with this. This is one of the classical models of feedback. It's called the sandwich method. Why is it called a sandwich? Because whenever we give feedback, we ideally start with something positive. So you always say something good that has been done. You put the criticism in between, and then you end with something positive. So this is why it's called a sandwich. So you start positive, you put the improvement point in between, and then you end with something positive. So the whole thing looks tasty. Okay. He will not feel that the criticism is too bad. So this is called the PNP sandwich, positive, negative, positive sandwich. Okay. There are many models of feedback. The model which we follow is called the Pendleton's method. It was described by somebody called David Pendleton. It is almost similar to the sandwich model with a slight difference. So here what happens is, suppose the feedback is on me. I will start off the process by saying what I thought went well with my performance. So the first step of Pendleton is the person receiving the feedback starts off with saying the positive points of myself. So for example, I would say that, I did my assignment well, I did it on time, etc., etc. Whatever was good according to me. This is followed by the rest of the group giving feedback on the person on his positive points. So yani, I talk about my positive, the whole group talks about my positive. Third step is I comment on my improvement points. So I say that maybe I could have done this better or I could have done that better. Followed by the whole group talking about my negative points, my improvement points. So I start with my positive, group says my positive, I say my negative, group says my negative, and finally summary is given by myself. So the point why this is used is because it is said that when feedback starts with the person himself, it becomes more useful. It becomes more reflective. Okay. So this is called the Pendleton's method, and we will practice this after a session, after 5 or 10 minutes in a hands-on session. But before that, we'll just go to examples of some feedback. So 2 samples of feedback. So one says that you are a bad student. The second says, in my opinion, considering your abilities, the quality of your assignment could be better. Which is the better feedback and why? Obviously the second. Again, it's more encouraging, but is there any other reason, important reason why the second feedback is more effective? It's positive, yes? Good. So the key point is that feedback should be on the behavior, not on the person. You never tell a student that you are good or you are bad. You're talking about their work. So you always comment on assignments, the performance in the group, whatever that behavior is, not on the person. You never tell you are good or you are bad, doesn't work. So you always comment on the behavior. Here it says that you are a very good student. In my opinion, considering your abilities, the quality of assignment could be much better. You could especially use better references. That will definitely ensure that your work is better and more original, and I'm sure you will do better next time. Looks good. Okay. What are the good points again? So that is very important. Feedback should be specific. Again, if you tell a student that you did good or you did bad, it does not help the student. You need to tell them exactly what was good and what needs to be improved. So here you can see that a specific issue is addressed, the quality of the references. And that is something which he or she can work with. So when you just say that it was good, it was bad, doesn't work. So you need to be as specific as possible. So specificity is there. What else?
Say something that he can be, not like something he cannot do.
So it's something which is practical. It is practical and feasible. So you can actually apply that. Okay, so it's practical, it is feasible. Thank you. So it goes along the PNP format. So you have the positive, negative, positive. One very important thing about feedback is something called the I perspective. We always give your opinion. So you're not saying it's absolutely right or wrong. You're saying that in my opinion, I think this is the issue. Okay. So you're just telling that what you feel. You're not being judgmental saying that this is right or this is wrong. You say, in my opinion, I think this is the situation. Okay. And this is called the I perspective. It tends to make feedback more acceptable. So the PNP, the I perspective, specific, practical, achievable, constructive,